Hi everyone, I'm David Aragona, and I want to take an in-depth look at my TimeformUS Highlight Horse on Thursday's card at Belmont Park. This is taking place in the 7th race. Now, we'll take a look at the entire field, and there are a bunch of main track only runners entered in this turf race, so we're likely to scratch down to 7 betting interest by the time these horses go to post, assuming this race stays on the grass, and I think it will because there's no serious rain in the forecast for Thursday's card. We can take a look at the TimeformUS pace projector of this race because I think we do want to discuss how it's going to shake out on the front end, because just looking through this field, there's really not a ton of speed in this race. And if you look at all of the running styles that we saw on the prior screen, there are no speeds, no leaders, no trackers. The fastest horse in this race has a running style of mid-pack. So there's really no horse that is projected to be a clear, confirmed frontrunner in this group. And you see there are 3 horses across the track. Those are the number 7 Bird's Eye View, the number 1A Holiday Bonus, and the number 10 Lemonist. All of these horses have a little bit of tactical speed. Of the 3, I think the one that is most likely to find himself on a clear lead is the number 7 Bird's Eye View. He's got a versatile running style, but he's one that has been effective on the front end in the past in very slow-paced situations. I just want to also take note of the position of the number 2 horse, Devamani, who's way back at the back of the pack. He is a confirmed stone-cold closer, and if there's not a ton of pace ahead of him in this race, he might be slightly compromised. And we'll take a look at Devamani's PPs because I think he's a horse you have to have an opinion about. He's likely to vie for favoritism in this spot. I made him the close second choice on the morning line. I could see him going off favored as he comes in off a win last time out at Gulfstream Park. Devamani is a really difficult horse to ride. If you watch all of his races, you could even see it last time out at Gulfstream Park, despite the fact that he won. Coming to the top of the stretch, Irad Ortiz had seemingly had a handful of horse underneath him. It looked like Devamani was going to win that race by open lengths, and he really struggled to get past an inferior rival in the late stages of that race. Devamani just has a ton of hang in him. He's a horse that has a really short burst of speed. He sort of gets there and just doesn't really see out his races in the last eighth of a mile. Joel Rosario learned that the hard way last year, back on May 11th, when he rode this horse very confidently. Seemed like he was just going to inhale the field coming up the stretch, coming up the rail in deep stretch, and the horse really just shut down on him in the last eighth of a mile and was backing up as other closers ran by him in the late stages in that May 11th race. So Devamani is a horse that I fear. I think that he's one you have to use, but going the mile and a quarter distance, I think Irad Ortiz might have a bit more trouble timing his move correctly, and I want to play against him in this spot if he's going to be a short price. Another runner that I think you want to consider in this race is the number 3 Noble Thought, and he's a really tough call for me because he has a ton of back class. I know his recent races have all come against cheaper company. He's won 3 of his last 4 starts, so he's clearly in decent form right now. But I think you want to take note of the move that Mike Maker is making with this horse because he claimed him for just $25,000 out of a race at Fairgrounds last time, and he's bumping him all the way up to the $62,500 level to face these turf horses again. Now, he's made 3 of his last 4 starts on the dirt, but he's a horse that has a ton of back class on the turf. Back in the day in 2017, he was actually second in the Grade 2 Sky Classic at Woodbine, going a mile and 3/8. So he clearly handles marathon distances, and he clearly once had the class to compete against this group. It's just, what are we going to get off the claim from Mike Maker? He is a trainer who does well off the claim in turf routes. This horse just has to make a big class jump. I'm using him defensively because I fear what this barn can do with horses like this. I just don't totally trust him to make the necessary improvement. Looking at the horse that could be the likely speed in this race, that's the number 7 Bird's Eye View, who we were talking about in the pace projector. This horse might be the biggest price of all the horses I'm talking about, and he's one that I definitely want to use in this race. He returned last time out at Keeneland, and that performance is not nearly as poor as the 7th place finish might suggest, because even though the trouble line doesn't note it, he was making a move coming to the far turn last time and just kind of got steadied back. A horse in front of him steadied back a little bit, and it was just sort of a chain reaction that really forced Bird's Eye View to lose momentum at a critical point in that race. He didn't do a whole lot of running after that, but he is a horse that does have back class. He came to New York last summer and ran some effective races, going a mile and 3/8, a mile and a quarter. So you know he handles this distance, and I think Javier Castellano could be aggressive with him because he did wire a field at Belmont on Belmont Stakes Day, June 7th last year. So he's a horse that I think might get the right trip in this race. It's just a matter of, is he still good enough to beat a field of this quality? My highlight horse in this race is the number 10 Lemonist. He's the slight favorite on the morning line. I think he's going to vie for favoritism with Devamani. He might be the first or second choice. He's a horse that I've been waiting to stretch out in distance. All of his prior races have come at a mile and a 16th on the turf, but he's a horse that really has a pedigree to relish added ground. He's by Lemon Drop Kid. He's out of a Danzig mare who has produced Funny Kid, a full brother to this horse. Funny Kid won going almost 2 miles in a Group 3 spot in France. He came over and contested the 2 mile Belmont Gold Cup last year, so he's a real true marathon horse. And Lemonist, as a full brother to that horse, certainly has the pedigree to handle longer distances. And just watching his recent mile races, he strikes me as a horse with a grinding running style who's really going to respond well to the added ground that he gets to work with in this race. I thought he ran pretty well at Gulfstream Park this winter. His race 3 back, he was closing well into a slow pace that day. Then 2 back on February 23rd, I thought he put in a really effective turn of foot to get the job done. And then last time out, I know he disappointed as the 6-5 favorite, but that was a race at Aqueduct that just did not set up for him. It was dominated on the lead by Greek Alphabet, who got a perfect trip. Nobody could close in that race. It was just a total merry-go-round affair. So I'm not going to put too much stock in the fact that Lemonist lost that race. Todd Pletcher's done a great job of just progressively getting this horse to keep improving with every start. As you saw on the pace projector, he's probably going to get a stalking trip in this race, so I do think he's going to get the jump on a horse like Devamani. And if Devamani shows his usual character flaw of not being able to finish off a race, I think Lemonist might be able to see out the final furlong and hold him off to win the race. So Lemonist is my TimeformUS Highlight Horse on Thursday at Belmont Park, hoping to get somewhere around that 2-1 morning line. I think that would be a fair price on him. So hopefully we can make a score with this one. I'll be back next week for another Highlight Horse. Thanks for listening, guys, and I'll see you again next week.